Hello, everyone. Thank you for watching. It's Tuesday, the 28th of April, 2026, and this is our weekly speed introduction session for members of the Arts and Culture Network. So we're going to buzz around the room. Everyone's going to say hello and tell us who they are, where they are, and what they're doing, what they're up to, what's keeping them out of mischief at the moment. So if you're watching on demand and you see or hear from somebody you'd like to have a further conversation with, please look out for the chat file, which will be in the comments of this post on LinkedIn. There we go. Excellent. Let's come to Colin first. Before we do, I'm Mark Walmsley. I'm the founder of the Arts and Culture Network. We have 185,000 members across our 8 arts and culture LinkedIn groups. And this is our weekly catch up, which is great fun. On the third Thursday of every month, we have an hour-long random speed networking session, and we meet in London face to face on the last Friday afternoon of every month at the Royal Society of Arts. So that's me. The LinkedIn groups are the foundation of our community. Katie's here, good. These meetings are the pulse of that community, and we're entirely member funded as a community. So I think we've got several full members here, for which many thanks. You make all of this possible. Hi, Katie. You're very welcome. Excellent. We're recording, so let's go around the room and let's start first with our resident Shakespearean expert, Colin. Colin, would you like to say hi to everyone?
Hi, everybody. Well, this is my first time on my new laptop, having poured beer all over the old one. It seems to be functioning quite well. Shakespeare, yes. Anything you want to know about Shakespeare? Anything you want to share about Shakespeare? Any questions you have about Shakespeare? I am your man. I also am in the process of putting up a series of 6 videos aimed at young actors coming into the business for the first time and faced with the incredibly traumatic experience of being on a major full budget film set for the first time, and all the possible traps and possible errors they can make. The first one is up, and I'm working on the second one, and there will be 6 in the series.
Fantastic. Colin, thank you very much. Do please pop the links in the chat with your new laptop. You look incredible. I think you always look incredible, but you're looking particularly smart and presentable today with your lovely background and your new camera and your laptop. So thank you very much for that, Colin. I think Maria is coming in. Excellent. I think we've got Bailey here as well. Bailey, you might like to turn your camera on if you can hear me. We're just buzzing around the room doing some introductions. Hi, Maria. Good to see you. We're just doing some introductions, Maria. I'll come to you in a moment. Let's hear from Drew, and then we'll come to Brian, please. Drew, it's all yours.
Thanks, Mark. Hi, everyone. Great to see a couple of new faces and some very familiar faces. I'm Drew, and I'm a photographer based in Bristol in the southwest of England. And I'm a photographer doing headshot portrait photography for a variety of clients. So whether you're a coach, author, artist, or any other kind of small business owner or SME, I also do stock photography. So always happy to discuss how I can help you with that. And I've just put together a nice new batch of greeting cards to add into the family library for people to have a look at and buy. So that's me. And thanks for the time, Mark.
Thank you very much, Drew. Let's come to Brian, if we may now, and then to Vincent. Brian, would you like to jump off mute and say hi to us all?
Right, I didn't know I was on mute. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you perfectly.
All right, great. Yes, I'm Brian. I'm in Silicon Valley and a native of this area. And this is from boyhood, from about the age of 6, I just became very fascinated by the diversity of cultures. And it's soon as I was able, after graduating, traveled as much around the world as I could. And that ended up becoming two books about how to explore the world's cultures around the world in a way that enhances creativity and well-being. And I've come up with a very simple method called looking at, with, and beyond that enables people to just continue to find more and more meanings in cultures. Most people just look at, we perceive and think about things according to the ways our cultures have, habituated us. But looking with is examining our cultures, their histories, like going back to Shakespearean times, for example, looking at how how basically our basic assumptions formed to begin with, and then looking beyond is exploring other cultures. And the coolest thing is when you keep looking at, with, and beyond in a circle, everything just lights up more and more and more because all of these different domains, different places, different times just reflect each other in ever more patterns. And that gave me the most inspiring experiences I've ever had in my life when I was traveling. So I wrote two books that detail that method. I also write resumes and CVs. It's hard to just make a living writing books if you're not well known. And I have 96 reviews on Google. Every one of them is 5-star because I'm able to use that looking at, with, and beyond to see people from bigger perspectives as well and find out how they can stand out, analyze their careers more in depth at a time when hundreds of resumes are typically being sent to the same job. It's very easy for resumes to look alike. I also write LinkedIn profiles, so I can give my contact details in the chat as well. So that's pretty much my life, plus being an amateur musician.
That's great, Brian. Thank you very much. You're very welcome. Have you been to one of these before? Forgive me.
This is my first.
Well, you're the star of the show. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you. Let's come to Vincent now, and then Vanita, if I may.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Mark. My name is Vincent Messelier. I'm from Belgium. I'm an artist, painter. I'm an art coach, and I'm also ambassador for ACN to bring other people on board. And I just started a new hybrid digital art collection that I promote on Shopify. You can see the link on my Shopify link in the chat, where we sell artworks and digital limited editions that people can print out on the file that they want on the measures that they want. And this is something typical new for people that they can own a piece of art and the way they want to print it. And that's unique. That's all I wanted to tell. Thank you, Mark.
That's great, Vincent. Please do put links in the chat, won't you, so that we can have a look. Thank you very much. And thanks again for all the hard work you do raising awareness for our community. It's very much appreciated. Vanita, let's hear from you, if I may, and then we'll come to Siegfried.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm joining from Mumbai, and I work at the intersection of art, mindfulness, and healing. Currently, I'm doing research on Japanese arts, philosophy, and cultural ethnography. And I'm a multidisciplinary artist. I work with visual art, textile art, and charcoal with Sumie painting of Japan. Thank you so much.
Fantastic, Vanita. Thank you. Do please put links in the chat so that we can have a good look. That's great. Let's come to Siegfried now and then to Keonis, please.
Hi, I'm Siegfried. I'm based in the north of Germany, near Hamburg. So yes, a lot of wind, a lot of sea, and apparently a lot of inspiration. I run silhouettes by the sea, where I focus on art that tells real stories. Because I think art should be more than just something that matches your sofa. I'm here to connect with people who share that mindset, and I know there are a lot of them in this network.
That's great, Siegfried. Thank you very much indeed. It's lovely to have you here again. Yeah, I've been there's a series on the television in the UK called about portraits with the comedian Bill Bailey. And it's clear when the reveal happens in those shows that it's more than just a picture. It's incredible. Do catch it on iPlayer if you can. I can't remember what the full title is, but Personal Portraits or something like that, I think. Anyway, yes, Thank you very much, Siegfried. Keonis, it's good to have you here, and then we'll come to Katie, please.
Hello, my name is Keonis. I'm signing in out of O'Fallon, Illinois. I am a visual artist. I prefer charcoal drawings and acrylic paintings, oil paintings, and I'm just always looking for great opportunities to meet other great artists and talk about art.
Fantastic. And you do a great job doing that. Thank you very much, Keonis. Great to have you here. Let's come to Katie now, and then Maria, please.
Hi there, thank you so much for having me. I'm a singer and a writer and a choir director and a vocal coach working in London mostly, and just enjoying sharing the magic of singing and voice with people in groups and individuals and organizations, and seeing all the magical things that happen when people find their voices.
Love it. Thank you very much, Katie. Maria, would you like to come off mute and say hi to everyone and tell us about your project at the moment? Thank you for coming along. I mentioned that you might come along.
Hi everyone, I hope you can listen to me well. You can hear me well. My name is Maria, and currently I live in Kazakhstan, and I'm a founder of a tiny culture center in one of the Kazakhstan cities, where we provide events, cultural and educational events like lectures on local culture, lectures on art history, concerts, masterclasses, and so on. And me personally, I lead lectures on art history, mostly Western European art history. And I'm glad I joined you because now I have a great opportunity to widen my professional network in order to share my point of view on art history with you.
Great. Yeah, we had a fascinating conversation, Maria and I.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we did, with the suggestion that there are an awful lot of us who would love to know a little bit more about artists. And the conversation we had was that Maria is going to start doing a series of very short introductions to great artists, kind of 5 things you didn't know about Kandinsky, that kind of thing.
I love to try.
So, and they can be both in English and Russian, which is even better. So, excellent. Maria, thank you very much for coming along. Catherine, it's lovely to have you here. There's a little bit of a flicker going on your camera. I don't know if you want to move slightly, and then we might be able to see you a bit better. There we go.
Is that helpful? There's still a flicker, isn't it?
There's still a flicker. Yeah, I think you need to buy Colin's old laptop. Yeah, no, that's better. Much better.
That's
Lovely
better?
to have you here. Yes. Would you like to say hi?
I'll plug something in. Maybe that'll help.
There we go.
Yeah.
That's good.
Okay. Hello, everybody. I've met some of you before, Katie, etc. But I am a charity lawyer, work for a lot of charities for museums and heritage organisations, and I tend to like to connect people and see how some of the charities that I work with can work with some of you, and so in these meetings we get an opportunity to chat, and my time is very limited, so I have an opportunity to speak with you, and this is a wonderful facility that Mark gives us all.
That's very kind, Catherine. Thank you. I must introduce you to my wife, Jo. She is a financial modeler and scenario planner using Excel, and primarily for charities.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yes, do.
She's just completed a 100-year forecast for the City Bridge Foundation, which is the 900-year-old charity that looks after the bridges that cross the City of London, across the Thames in the City of London. They need to know when they're going to fall down and what money they need to replace them. So she's done a 100-year forecast, if you can imagine. It's crazy. So,
that is amazing.
Yeah, she's like got a crystal ball for your financial future, that kind of thing.
Well, we have got a charity financial advisor that's working with us in our charity department as well. And he is exceptionally good. He used to, well, I won't go into it, but I can talk to her about it.
I'll make some
obviously
introductions.
We will definitely have lots to talk about.
I'm sure you will. Excellent. Thank you very much, Catherine. I don't think I've missed anyone. Bailey dropped in, but has been disconnected. That's great. Thank you so much. So if you're watching this on demand, and you've heard from somebody you'd like to connect with, please let me know, or look in the comments for the chat file, in which you'll find hopefully all the contact details. Thank you very much. And there we go.